Hi guys, welcome back to another live stream. I'm Chris and I hope you're well. Today we're going to try and keep the live stream a bit shorter because I think sometimes they can run on a bit. But you know what us YouTubers are like, we like to talk. So I'm going to bring my guest on quite quickly. He's David, he's a plant-powered runner. So if you've got any questions for David, please put them in the comments. And let's bring him on. Hi David, how are you?
Fantastic. How's it going, Chris?
Yeah, how's the weather in Canada?
It's very gray, a lot of snow on the ground, and it's not too cold. It's like about -2 Celsius. So we have a warm spell happening right now.
Yeah,
so
well, is that glass as warm? That's our cold, to be honest. If you watch my Strava, I'm like a weatherman. It's basically if it's windy, raining, cold, I'm moaning. I just have to moan, you have to get the excuses out of the way. So I was going to introduce you, but I thought it would be best if you just introduce yourself. Just tell us a brief bit about your channel and what you specialize in. Obviously, they can probably tell by the title. So,
yeah,
right, David.
Sure. My name is David. I'm the plant-powered runner. I am from Ontario, Canada, and I started my channel about a year ago. I mean, I had it for a while, but I hadn't really done a whole lot with it. And I was overweight. And I needed to start making some changes to my life, really, is what it came down to. So I revamped my whole training program. I'd been running for about 5 years before, but 2 of those years I only ran like 500 kilometers. It really wasn't a lot. I did a whole video on my channel. It exists there. So if you want to kind of know more about that whole beginning, it's there. But really, at the end of the day, I'm now back into running. And I started training using heart rate as my metric. And I've been doing that for about 16 months now. Seen some amazing results. It's called Maffetone training. And I kind of went down that rabbit hole. And my channel is a lot to do with heart rate, a lot to do with adventures of where I'm running, trail running, road running, kind of whatever it is. And I give a lot of tips and helpful insight into how heart rate can help your running and help you become a faster runner and lose weight, stay healthy, reduce the injuries, and all the other fun jazz that goes along with it. So I'm also a vegan, have been for the last 4-ish years. And it was a process to get to where I am, but happy I am. And like I said, lost a ton of weight and quite happy with where I'm moving and where I'm moving to. So, yeah.
And your channel's doing well, just hit 3,000 subscribers.
Yeah, it did, and it kind of took me by surprise. I kind of woke up in the morning and went, "Wow, okay, that was kind of cool." So,
and you're now clipping on my heels.
Hey, we're all in this together, man. We're all here to help each other out, and that's what what I'm all about. What we do.
Yeah, well, when I was on your channel, we would kind of work out how I come across your channel, and I was kind of thinking back, and I actually come across it when I was going through my subscribers, and I remember seeing the plant-powered runner, and I thought to myself, who's this guy? I kind of check him out. And to be honest, I instantly kind of drawn to your channel, likable, kind of knew your stuff, passionate. And so, I engaged the same as everyone else does with us, comments, you comment on my channel. We got we got exchanging comments and stuff, and then I gave you a shout out, I think on my Strava or Instagram, one of them two, and then you kindly invited me onto your channel with about 2 hours notice, wasn't it? And and it was fun. So I just thought that everyone had to kind of meet you, so I invited you on my channel, and I just think it's something that we need to share, the Maffetone training, because there's loads of different training plans out there, but you just need to find one that works for you, rather than me saying 80-20 or you saying MAF training. We just need to work out what works for us, and then take it from there, really. As you see at the bottom of the screen, I've got it scrolling to check out David's channel in the link. If you go in the description, it's actually got a link to his channel, so please head over there and check his channel out and subscribe if you can. So David, you've mentioned on your channel that you started running when you was 43. Oh no, 42. I started when I was 43, but I used to run as a teenager quite competitively. Did you used to run at all when you were younger?
Yeah, actually, I ran when I was in elementary school. I got bullied when I was a kid, and I turned towards running because I had to run away from them.
Yeah.
And so I did that, and I realized I was pretty fast. And before I knew it, I started to run cross country.
Did you turn
And
into Forrest Gump then?
yeah, I was kind of like the Forrest Gump kind of guy. No braces though, no braces in my
No.
But yeah, I just kind of started, and I became really good in cross country and
Yeah.
grades. In Canada, it's like grade 4, 5, 6, and then you go to middle school 7, 8, and then after about grade 8, I kind of stopped running because I started working a lot as a teenager. I got into other things, and
Yeah.
and then I pretty much gave it all up completely. After my injury, when I was running the 100-meter dash, Ben Johnson, who was a disgraced Canadian Olympian, anabolic steroids in the Seoul Olympics, he was actually at York University where I was running, and I was in the final heat. And if I won this, I would be going to the Ontario finals. And I was set. I was winning. He gave me all kind of tips and tricks, and throughout the day. And this is before he was disgraced, by the way. And I was like about 70 meters in, and boom, I pulled ligaments in my hip, and down I went.
So was he racing?
100 meters.
No, was Ben Johnson racing?
He was there because that's where he trains, or
Okay.
that's where he trained. And yeah, down I went, and I was winning. I was winning. I knew I was winning. And then when I went down, there was about 3 or 4 seconds later, boom, everyone passed me. And I was like, oh, it was awful. And then I said, that's it, I'm done. And
The only thing I can understand is that Ben Johnson clearly looked like he was on drugs, though, didn't he?
Oh yeah, the guy was huge. Huge.
His eyes would always turn up bloodshot and look really angry.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he was massive, absolutely massive. And he didn't get banned once; he got banned twice.
I know, it's all different then, isn't it? Yeah. I got into running when I was 10. My dad was a runner. He was a kind of marathon and half marathon runner. So I got entered in a race, and then I joined a club and did a lot of kind of 800, 1500. Then got into cross country, become the 7 counties cross country champion when I was about 13. And then got to about 16, 17 and kind of gave up, which is a bit, and now when I got to, 40, when was I, 42 or 43, I just thought to myself, last chance saloon, that missed opportunity. And that's probably why I'm doing it now, just to kind of prove to myself. But you have to train so much harder now than when I was younger. I was training 15 miles a week. I'm doing 50-mile weeks, and it's like I'm still way off of what I was when I was a teenager. But there again, that was 30 years ago.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I mean, you give it time, right? You're running for a different reason now, and the enjoyment of it is there. And all the gains come in time, right? So,
but they say there's a seven-year window of when you actually improve. So you have to improve within that 7-year window, otherwise you just kind of plateau off over that. But my idea is to obviously continue running and be competitive when I'm 50, because I'm kind of in that kind of group now between the 40 and 50, and I'm at the upper end. So I don't stand a chance against a 40-year-old. I don't stand a chance against a 13-year-old. So,
all I want to do is I just want to run into the retirement home one day.
So why did you start running at 42? What made you kind of think, I need to run?
I was huge. I weighed 266 pounds. My heart, my blood pressure was 180 over 110, and my eyeballs felt like they were popping out of their eye sockets. My joints hurt so much. My belly was massive. My jean size was like a 42-inch waist. I still have the jeans today. I haven't got rid of them.
And I think the video's on YouTube, isn't it? A picture of you before and after.
Yeah.
You're like, who's that guy?
I look back at that and go, wow, that wasn't me, but it was. Yeah. And I just didn't want to keep going down that road because I thought I was going to die. Like my doctor said, you keep doing this, it's a one-way ticket. So I'm like, okay, I better change. But it wasn't, but I didn't change until I woke up one morning, 3 months after that appointment with the doctor.
Yeah.
That's when I decided. It's just I got up and I literally felt like I was 80 years old and I couldn't get out of bed. It was awful.
And is that the story where you just went for this really, really long walk? Is that where it started, or is that?
It's part of it. It wasn't that walk happened because I started to walk for probably I walked for about a good 9 months, maybe close to a year. I walked every day, but it was taking so much longer to walk because I was going further and further and further.
Yeah.
And as I went further and further, I was like, maybe I could run. But then one day I just got up, went for a walk, and before I knew it, I was like 10 miles away from my house. I took the dog out, and I was so far away, I was like, guess I'm going to turn this into a marathon. Turned it into a marathon, came back. It was like so hot. I had no water with me. Dog's dehydrated. I'm delirious.
Yeah.
And I got in, and it was crazy.
Well, at least the dog didn't need to walk for a few days.
Oh yeah, the poor dog, man, totally out, asleep probably within about a minute of getting home.
I can imagine. So you started the MAF training about 2 years ago, is that right?
About 16 months, yeah.
But what got you into that? Did you just read a book, or did you just watch a video and thought, I might as well do this?
I kind of researched it years ago, but I never really took action on it because nobody was doing it.
Yeah.
And so everyone that was trying to help me at the time, everyone that I asked was just like, well, just run fast. And I was like, okay, I guess I just got to run fast. So I ran fast all the time.
But it's like watching the movies, isn't it? You kind of watch the movies and then you got someone, you're not having a hard workout unless you're really smashed, and you're watching Rocky and he has to beat himself to the ground every day.
Yeah.
And it's a bit like that with running, isn't it? I think once you put your ego to bed and you understand that you can't run fast all the time, because we want to run fast all the time, but we can't. And especially as you get older, that's not going to happen. So, so the MAF training, so you kind of, just dip your toe in, or you just went full in?
I basically, the moment when it really happened was I was with a bunch of my vegan runner friends, and we would get together every month and we would do like a group run. And I took a picture, I did a selfie with all of us, and I looked at the picture and I'm like, this is awful. Like, I look awful. And I just didn't really like what I was looking at. And I'm like, something's got to change. So I'm like, okay, that's it. I bought my pair of running shoes I wanted, which was the Ultra Torn. And I thought that, because I've wanted to use Ultras for a long time. So I saved up some money, bought a pair, and went, okay, I'm going to do this Maffetone heart rate training thing. And, there was a couple of videos out there on it, but I didn't really watch anything for it. I literally just, because I knew that I bookmarked the website years ago, and then I went there again, and I'm like, okay, this is what I got to do. I'm just going to do it. So then I started to do it, and then I wasn't even making videos at the time. Like, I literally started in September of 2019, and it wasn't until December 31st that I made my first video for the channel.
Yeah. Yes, I think we paused slightly there. I think the internet kind of paused. You was carrying on talking, but maybe no one else saw that you're their end, because I was trying to scroll some of the comments and nothing was happening. That wheel was just spinning round, and I was like, no. So when you started, this kind of ties in with this question, which is, are Garmin watches accurate for heart rate, or should you buy a heart rate strap? I'll start. I've got a Garmin watch, a 235. And to be honest, as a whole, I would say it's pretty good. But weather has a massive kind of, when it's cold, they don't tend to work sometimes for the first couple of miles. Sometimes they're on, sometimes they're off. But on a whole, my 235 works. I did buy a £20 heart rate strap to put on just to make sure that the watch was right. And to be honest, it seemed to be right. I just think that weather conditions play a major part. So if you're in a cold climate, maybe you need to buy a more expensive watch. Is that something you have to do, or?
So for me, I have I have a Coros watch. I don't have the Garmin watch. I used to have a Garmin watch, but I found that it was before that they had the sensors in the watch. So I had a strap when I was using my Garmin watch. But with my Coros watch, I found that my first watch I had, it was brand new, and it was accurate, but there was a good 8-second delay from what my heart rate was. Okay.
Yeah.
And but for some reason my watch started to die a slow death. I don't know what happened. The screen just kind of melted one day, like inside. So I got a replacement, and they were amazing. Free replacement. Like, I didn't have to do anything. They didn't have to send my watch anywhere. They just sent me one, and it was great.
Yeah.
And I've been using it. But what I noticed was my heart rate, and again, it's in my last video that I just put out there yesterday, where it was like failure.
Yeah.
And what I was experiencing with that watch was this. It wasn't giving me the accurate results that I was expecting to see from my previous watch. But then again, I'm literally coming back from running an ultra and Christmas and being bad and not sleeping well and all of this. So I didn't know where my heart rate was. I didn't know if it was the watch or if I didn't, or what it was. So I went out and I bought a Polar H10 heart rate strap.
Yeah.
And I've been wearing that. And I have to say, instantaneously, I can see the result on my watch. There's no delay. And because of that, my run with heart rate is like, it's bam, right on, nothing really above. It's right in my zone. It's very responsive and very accurate, I would say. So I had to suck it up and go, yeah, my heart rate is exactly where it needs to be.
Yeah.
Because,
rather than blaming your tools like we always do.
Exactly.
The shoes weren't quick enough. Oh, the weather weren't right. Oh, the wind was too strong.
Yeah.
Do you, obviously running on heart rate, like today, as I mentioned to you earlier, I went out and I was at my lower end of my MAF pace, which, if we kind of explain to everyone, it's 180 minus your age. And if you read about, you had bits and bobs on, depending on whether you've been injured, your kind of fitness. So mine is 180 minus my age of 46, which is around about 134. But as you mentioned, you can go 5 above or you can go 5 below to stay in that zone. So today when I was running, I was at 130, which is at the lower end of my Maffetone. So at that pace, I was running an 8-minute mile in. So if you was to go on a run and one day you're at 8-minute mile in, say, for instance, and then the next day not use your heart rate monitor, could you just go on pace and would your heart rate be approximately the same?
So I'm going to say this. So think of it as being think of it about being a teenager, right? Yeah. Your parents are home. They've told you not to have a party. You don't have a party, right? The parents are home.
Yeah.
As soon as the parents go away, all of a sudden, now you're having your buddies over, you're having a big party, even though, right, you're not supposed to have one. You do it anyway. Yeah. So same thing with a watch. As soon as you're not having a strap on, or if you don't have your watch and it's not recording heart rate, guess what happens? You run faster.
But if you were to stick to your same mile pace, would you not be roughly about the same heart rate?
Not necessarily. Each day is different, right? Each day is different because the load of stress, financial, work-related, family, that plays a massive part of this. Yeah. If you're not eating well, right? If you're eating a lot of junk food, pop, candy, chips, whatever, right? A lot of processed food, that will contribute to it. If you're not getting 8 hours of sleep, that will do it. Temperature will do it. Every day is going to be different. So knowing that, hey, one day if I'm running and it's an 8-minute mile pace, well, the next day it could be an 8:30 or an 8:40. Or if I did a fast run one day, well, guess what? My next day, my heart rate's still going to be elevated, so I have to run in my zone, like heart rate zone. That's why it's important, right, to measure that, because every day is going to be different.
Yeah. So someone put a comment here saying that the first 1.25 miles heart rate was wrong, as much as 155. Today it was 60 beats per minute. I think you see the doctor. I just think it's the cold. I just think the cold just affects the watch. Some people say that you should put the watch higher up your arm rather than putting it low down on your wrist.
This is where I wear mine. Yes.
So a lot of people wear the watch quite low. So you actually wear it higher up, so it's not on the wrist bone. But
That's
sometimes
right.
I've heard
Yeah, two fingers.
yeah. So I've heard that the watch also can pick up cadence sometimes.
Yep.
I've heard that. But as I say, if you're buying a cheap, strap, even a £20 one, that one worked fine for me. It was exactly the same. So you don't have to spend loads of money. I imagine the more you spend on your watch, the better it is in all the different environments.
Yeah, one thing that Greg would need to know is you need to make sure that you do a warm-up, right? The warm-up, the first 15 minutes, your heart isn't in a position where it can keep a steady heart rate. You don't even know what it is.
Yeah.
So going out and doing a 15-minute brisk walk or a light jog that's lower than MAF, then you go ahead and you do that. It warms up your body. It starts bringing, all the blood and oxygen to your muscles. It gets you prepared to do that exercise. That's why warming up and cooling down is really important, especially when you're doing heart rate training, because you want to make sure that you're measuring exactly that zone, right? So really important for that.
So I suppose that the warming up when you're using your watch, then it's going to stop it actually spiking because it's your body saying, what's going on here? We were resting, we were sitting on the sofa at 70 beats per minute, and now you're expecting me to run down the road. And then I suppose it's your body adjusting. So obviously I've dabbled in heart rate training just for probably about a month. I kind of dabbled in it, and it was it taught me to lower my heart rate, to kind of meditate, to learn how to breathe, which I've taken forward now. And then when I go, when I said to you off camera that when I overtrain, my low intensity runs are done at heart rate. So if I wanted to, do a low intensity rather than perceived effort, I just do it on heart rate training. Like even today, 2 runners, I run past them. That mile was my quickest mile because my ego just switched in, and I was running 15, 20 seconds a mile without even realizing. You just think, oh, style, oh, they're watching me. Maybe that's just my ego, but you need to put your ego aside.
We cannot regulate ourselves. Like we can't, right? And if you can, fantastic. But regulating yourself is so hard because all the ego wants to do is literally dictate, look, this is what you need to do. You need to run faster. You got people there. You need to go past them. Like all this stuff, right? So putting the ego, leaving it at home is probably one of the hardest things to do. But when you have a heart rate, when you're measuring heart rate, I find it so much easier because you become a slave to the watch, right? It's like, that's what it's telling me I have to do. I'm staying in that zone, and I don't care who comes around me. I'm going to run well.
Do you not think that it takes away the enjoyment of running a little bit?
No.
You don't? Maybe that's just me then, because you're more of an ultra runner. I'm more of a time chaser. So I have to have that fast element in my training because that's what I crave, where you're obviously running ultras, which we haven't actually kind of touched on. What was your longest ultra, and what got you into ultras? Because you're doing this MAF training. Is it because of the heart rate training, and you just went, oh, I can just run further now? So you just went further and further. Because I found today I was going on an 8-mile run, I ended up doing 12 miles because I wasn't knackered. I was just chugging along, and then obviously it comes into fitness the last couple of miles that your heart rate might just start, tweaking up at that same pace. So
I got into ultras. I've always wanted to run an ultra ever since I ran my first marathon. I read the book Born to Run, started following Scott Jurick's journeys. I traveled to the US to go meet up with him to go for a run because he has Lyme disease. So I had some things that I could help him with Lyme disease, and it's worked really well for him. And so we kind of got into talking, and then next thing you know, I'm like doing these longer runs. So I basically so with ultra running, I wanted to go to the dark place. I had some demons I needed to deal with in my past. I got called stupid when I was a child. A lot of stuff like that from a teacher, like from a principal. So I kind of people told me I couldn't do things, I wouldn't be good enough. So I decided that, what, I'm going to be good enough. I'm going to do this for me. And I went to some pretty dark places on my run to deal with it and to get rid of it. And to be quite honest, I mean, it may sound weird, but it allowed me to push through those issues because I found they were holding me back in my life. And since I've done it, it's literally freed me from it. I've dealt with it, moved on, and I'm now in a fantastic place that it's allowed me to be a better version of myself and inspire other people to say, look, you guys can do it as well.
Yeah. So someone's put a comment, said, obviously, why did you choose Maffetone over some of the other ones? I don't know if this is a joke, so I'm not sure if the guy was called Paul Daniels, but he's put a comment saying, no, sorry, Jack Daniels. But I think Jack Daniels is a drink, so I don't know if that's kind of a...
It's Jack Daniels.
So Jack Daniels is the guy?
Yeah, Jack Daniels. He's got a book, and he calls it the DOT system, the DOT system.
Yeah.
I have it. Everyone, whether it's Lydiard or whether it's Daniels, look, they all kind of prescribe to aerobic-based training at some point in their training. So they all get a little bit from everybody, and whether it's one person, I think really Lydiard was great. And I think a lot of people have based their training off of what he started. Or who knows, maybe Lydiard got it from somebody else. I don't know. But again,
a lot of people have done the Jack Daniels training, but the drink, hence why some of the comments coming here, JD and Coke, please. So obviously you've been doing this for 2 years now. So what are the benefits though? Because to me, as a time chaser, you're just running, I would class it easy to gentle rather than easy. Because to me, easy is probably my early 140s on my beat, where gentle is my low 130s. Would you say that MAF training is more towards gentle than it is easy? And obviously, you know, what are the benefits of you doing it? Are you going to do it for 2 years and then you're going to change and then become this superstar? Or how does it all?
So the way I look at it is this: I started because I wanted to burn up energy. I wanted to stay injury free as much as possible, and I wanted to just enjoy running, right? And by doing Maffetone training, it provides all of that, and you get faster at the same heart rate over time, right? Because as you build up your engine, right, your aerobic base, as you build that up, that's like your foundation of a house. Yeah. If the foundation of the house is not good, it doesn't matter what you do, renovations to the kitchen, it can all crumble down. So if you're training too much anaerobically, right, you're going to burn out. You're in a position for injury, right? And especially for a lot of runners who are new, right? Like, I wish I had known this years ago, and I wish I actually had done it. I wouldn't have burned out. I wouldn't have got injured, and I would have been better off. But unfortunately, I had to learn the hard way, and that's kind of where I am. So, yeah, it's allowed me to go the longer distances, allowed me to run a lot more, to be able to run my ultra distance. Like, I'm training for a 100-miler right now. I wouldn't be able to do that if I was running like tempo runs pretty much all the time, right?
So in effect, the heart rate training or the MAF training is basically base building, but it's keeping you within a certain zone, so you're training at the right pace, rather than I could do base building and I could say that I'm doing easy runs every time, but my heart rate could be going from 135, 145, 150, 140. So I suppose it's taking that kind of pressure away from saying you're listening to your body. You know, because if you don't do MAF training, then you've got to listen to your body. You've got to keep an eye on your pace, you know, blah, blah, blah. And that's where this question comes in. So someone's transitioning from MAF training to marathon cycling. I would say 80-20 training is probably the way to go. So 80% of your run's easy. Do that at the MAF pace, or maybe more towards the top end of the MAF pace. So, you know, if mine was 134, maybe you're 139, 140. And then the rest of your 20% just faster. So, you know, a certain session for a marathon. So your tempo runs, because I think when you're marathon training, you've got to put the volume in, but you've got to take the easy days easy. because if you don't, obviously you're going to come unstuck and get injured, because you're going to have to increase your mileage to run a marathon. But it depends obviously on your experience. I'd imagine, you know, if I get into London's a marathon, then I've got to be doing 60, 70 mile weeks. And so to start with, I will do 100% easy just to build myself up to that, and then just listen to my body. Because, you know, if you jump in doing 80-20 and you're chucking 20 extra miles on in a month, I know you're supposed to do, what is it, 10% per week? I've never done that, but I think everyone's different. You need to learn to your body. I think I'm at the stage now where I could jump to 60, 65 miles quite comfortably without getting injured if I take away that 20%. Because, you know, if you're
training at your Maffetone pace, like in that zone, you can increase your mileage slowly and surely, and you'll be okay.
Yeah.
It's just training the muscles, right? I mean, it just takes time. 80% because I've run my marathon. I've run 2 marathons, and of those marathons, if I had done proper 80-20 training, instead of like 50-50 or whatever the heck I was doing, I probably would have been further along. But 80-20, 80% MAF aerobic based training, with 80%, or sorry, with 20% anaerobic. Hard effort, right? Dot that gray zone. Get out of that gray zone. If you're going to go hard, go hard.
Yeah. Oh, we lost you a bit then. Yes. So I must admit, the last year, obviously, touch wood, since doing the 80-20 training, I haven't had an injury. So touch wood again. So that definitely works. What is, obviously we're going to finish soon because we're just over the half hour, and David still will go for his run because he's been working hard today. He's an estate agent and he's been busy, which is good, but it's not good for running. So what's your motivation? What gets you out the door? Mine is my kind of last chance saloon. You know, I missed your boat when I was younger? I can't remember what the saying is. But so mine is that kind of midlife kind of crisis. I want to just prove to myself that I can do it. And obviously YouTube, because I'm accountable to you guys. What's your motivation to do, you know, 100 milers to, you know, 50 milers and to continue with the YouTube?
I think really there's a couple of components for my motivation. My motivation is I always want to get better. I want to be a better person each and every day. And I know when I run for my mental health, I am a better person, right? It just is what it is.
Yeah.
So I know by going out the door, I'm going to be in a better position to be a good person all day, right? To help people, whether it's, you know, buying a house, or whether it's in their running, or whether they're struggling in whatever it is. It just makes me be a better person. The other thing is it's to prove all of the people that said that I can't do something. It's to prove them all wrong, right? And I know that's an ego thing, but it is a driving force. And then there's also the fact that all of my subscribers on my YouTube channel, right? They come for inspiration, they come for motivation, and I want to make sure that I'm helping them, right?
Yeah.
So keep me accountable. So that motivates me to get out the door. Like, motivation can be very fleeting if you don't have a big enough why, right? My why is big enough, right? I've got a lot of versions of why I do what I do. And because of that, it gets me out the door and keeps me accountable. So those are just some of the things. And plus, also, you know, you feel great, the benefits of the physical side of it, and just going out and exploring the world on my own 2 feet, and some of the great trails I get to find, it's pretty satisfying.
Yeah, you've probably got some amazing places you can run, rather than me. Yeah, I've got the countryside, but probably nothing compared to Canada and you know, some of the trails you've been on. We've got a question from Alex, and he's said about MAF training. I could probably answer this one. He's been doing it for 12 weeks, then done a 5K, was aching. I would just say that before you start doing 5Ks and delving into speed work, you probably need to go down the 80-20 route and introduce the speed slowly. So start off, if you've been doing MAF training, then slowly introduce kind of tempo runs, do that for a little bit, and then slowly introduce threshold runs, and then do your 5K. You can't expect to do 12 weeks of MAF training, running slow, and then expect your legs to run fast. It doesn't work like that. Do you kind of agree with that?
Yeah, you got to get the leg turnover, right? So
Yeah.
getting out and doing a tempo run, whether you want to hit the track, whether you're doing strides. Here's the thing: if you're training Maffetone, just do MAF. Just do MAF training. Find whether it's going to be 3 months or whether it's 6 months, and just build up the aerobic base. Look, there's no races right now, so there's no reason why people, can't actually adopt some of this. If that's something that they want to do, they've got the ability and time. But if you're a time chaser like yourself, that may not work so well, right?
No.
But if you want to go those longer distances, then yeah, you can certainly go ahead and spend the time putting in with MAF training.
Yeah, well, yeah. That's where I struggled. I just had to, put the faster runs in. So what are your goals going forward? Is it the 100-miler? Is that the goal for this year? Because obviously with races, is there going to be any? Who knows? So this is a self-run 100?
Yeah. It's going to start up at Blue Mountain, which is our ski resort. And I'm going to run there and run all the way home and then have a shower.
And you got people on the way just to kind of help you out?
Yeah. So there'll be a couple of people along the way. Obviously, my family will be there, but I've got a lot of vegan runner friends who are going to join me. And it'll be August. It'll be nice and warm so people can run sections with me if they want. And and the thing is, I always find like a race doesn't need, races are good because it helps push you to see what you're capable of doing. But if you want to go out and you want to explore what's around you and just make things happen, then just go out the door and just go ahead and do it. And then if you're doing it, maybe that inspires somebody else to come along with you, right? So it's kind of fun to do self-imposed ones as opposed to a full-on race. Like, trust me, I love racing, but I also like these adventure ones because I can do it. I can design it. It's for me, right? That's the cool thing about it.
Yes, it's kind of on your own terms. So I'm going to try and pronounce his name right because I think it's Ua. He's a 2:35 marathon runner. He started running in 2018, and he's going for 2:20 this year. That's his aim. He runs one long run and then 2 varied runs during the week, and that's it. So I would probably say that he's naturally gifted and talented.
Yeah.
And if you train more, then you probably could get a lot quicker. But I think that's where when I said to you earlier, that it just depends on what works for you. That's all it comes down to. I could say 80-20, you could say MAF training, but just find what works for you and try these different plans. You've got time. There's no races. I think probably in the UK, we're not going to get a proper race till probably the back end of this year. If we're lucky, a proper race. None of this 30-second start and then you go. That's not a race. You want to be in with a big crowd, the excitement. And I imagine that's similar in Canada. Are you in a similar sort of place at the moment?
Yeah, this variant is going crazy right now. Canada's population, our whole country is the same size as the UK in terms of population. So our numbers are starting to skyrocket. We're in a 28-day lockdown. So I personally don't think that we're going to get back to any normal racing until next year. That's what I think. So, but who knows? I'm not signing up for anything.
No, because you lose a bit of money on some of them, don't you? They take their
delayed. And I don't want to run a virtual race. I can create my own virtual race. But then again, I do like to support the race directors because it's their livelihood, and so they're struggling as well. So as much as I don't like the races that are virtual, I also want to make sure that you can support the race directors, so that way we do have a race to come back to, right?
Yeah. Well, us YouTubers, we have to create our own time trials and sort of races to carry on the content. I can't sit here in the winter and just show you a pair of shoes every week. I have to do a mile time trial. I have to do a 10K. So it doesn't necessarily fit in my training, but that's the same that you have to do as a YouTube. So start a YouTube channel, and then that keep you motivated. That's probably a good answer.
Yeah, you can do that. Chris, I did want to go back on one question because you asked me about my goals for the year, and I think I gave you one. The other couple were a 5K, a 10K. I want to set those, because those are working my way back up to running longer distances, and also seeing how I'm doing with my speed, right? So yeah, hopefully setting those as well. But I want to get back into running, 100 miles during the week. That's another thing that I want to get my mileage back up to.
I couldn't imagine doubling my mileage. That's just like, this doesn't make sense. So someone's put here that do you eat certain foods to help with large mileage and staying healthy? Obviously, you're a plant-based runner, so you need to take obviously vitamins, don't you? Like we spoke before. So is there is there certain foods that you would say to go to for large miles?
I typically, like when I'm running, like I'm burning my fat as an energy source, right? Like so when I'm on those long runs, I don't eat. Right? I'll run for 3 hours and I won't eat anything, right? Yeah. Because I'm moving so slow that I'm just burning my own reserves. However, way I eat during the day, I'll be eating like avocado, nuts and seeds, salads, tofu or tempeh or whatever, beans, things like that, right? Just like general food, whole foods, right? Is what I'll eat. And then if I am racing, like when I did my ultra, I was actually not eating baby food out of the little packages. I'd have like sweet potatoes and a couple of other things. Yeah, they were easy to pack, gave me the calories and the micronutrients that I needed, and that's what I ate.
Do you have to have a milk in a bottle at bedtime?
Yep, absolutely. 2 hands.
You have to burp you afterwards.
No, I think I'm good on the burping.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, we're going to leave it there. We've gone 12 minutes over. David's got stuff to do. So if you guys can check out David's channel, links are going to be down in the description. So you won't be disappointed. He's got lots of stuff on there. It's an ideal time to be doing MAF training at the moment. If there were races, I would say, maybe it's something to do more in the winter. But no, check out his channel. Go and support him. Don't follow him too much so he overtakes me, though.
Don't worry. We're all in this together.
Yeah, all right, David. It was nice speaking to you anyway, David.
Pleasure. Always a pleasure talking to you, Chris. Love it. Thanks so much for letting me be on the show.
No worries, David. I'll speak to you soon.
Bye, guys. Cheers.